Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I'm going to be sharing with you these two cards. They both use the same technique with a little variation on each. So I am going to be doing a little bit of salt on watercolor, which is very pretty and very easy to do. So to start with, I am going to be using 2 panels of watercolor cardstock, and I'm going to be adding these onto my watercolor palette board. So to do this, I do add a little bit of clean clear water onto each side, and then I add it to my board. This means it's going to stick into place because of the water tension, and it's also going to minimize the warping when it does dry as well. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 for this one. I'm then going to be taking the watercolor brush markers, the Tropical Fiesta set, and I'm going to be using some Desert Night, some turquoise, and also the beautiful purple wine. So I'm just going to add these randomly to my wet pieces of watercolor cardstock, and I'm then just going to take a wet paintbrush and I'm going to move these colors around. I did find that I didn't have as much color on as I wanted, so I've just added a little bit more from the markers and then moved this around till I was happy with the effect. I'm then going to be using some sea salt. So for this first one here, I'm going to be using the grinder on it. I just wanted to see which kind of techniques and different looks I would get with 2 different ways of using the salt. So I've grinded the first one on, and then for the second one here, I'm just using the full chunk. So I've opened it up and just splattered those around. I then did leave it to dry, and I did get 2 different techniques. So this one with the grinded one, it has kind of dispersed a little bit more, so the little flakes have disappeared, and it hasn't given me as much as an effect that it has on this one. So the one that kept the salt in all the chunks, it's given me a tie-dye effect, which is very pretty. So once I've got my backgrounds completed, I'm then going to move on to my images, and I'm using a few of the really pretty images, delicate images from the Pen Sketched Flowers stamp set. I'm just adding these into place onto a piece of vellum. I'm then going to emboss these, so I'm using some embossing ink from Altenew. This is a sticky ink, it's clear, so you don't really see it when you do stamp it, but it does make the embossing powder stick to it, so it's really cool. So I'm just adding the embossing ink to the images. I'm then going to stamp these down. I do find that adding a little bit of a hard object, my obsidian ink works really well for this, and I just think that this works rather better than me just pressing the images down. Once I have all of the images stamped, I'm then going to take my piece of vellum and I'm going to add over some of the beautiful rose gold embossing powder, and this is going to stick to the embossing ink that we've popped down. Once I've done that, I'm just going to heat set this. So you want to heat it up nicely until all of that embossing powder does melt, and then it is adhered to the vellum. I'm then just going to trim around these. The only reason being is because I'm going to die cut these using my little mini blossom. If you do have a larger machine, you don't have to do this step at all. I'm then going to take the coordinating dies for the images that I have stamped from the Pen Sketched Flower stamp set. I'm just going to place these around the images and add a little bit of masking tape or washi tape or painter's tape, whatever you do have, just to adhere these down into place, just so we can run this through the machine and they don't move any. So once I have them in place, I'm just going to make sure that all of the images that I want to cut are covered by the plates, and then I'm just going to run this through my little mini blossom machine. So I've done this with this set, and then I do exactly the same with the others. So I do have all of my images cut with the dies, which is really cool. So I'm just going to pop them out, and I'm then going to use the Blessed die. I'm just going to pop that into place on my gold colored cardstock. So this is Murray Gold cardstock, and I'm just then going to run that through my machine as well, just so I have my sentiment cut out as well. I do cut this twice for both of the cards, so we're going to kind of have the same look on both of them, which is really cool, but we do have those different looks with the different kinds of salt that we did use on the backgrounds as well. So now I have all of my elements to make my cards. I'm now going to pop them all together. So I'm just going to add my backgrounds to my card bases. I'm just using some craft card bases. I thought it might be a little bit of added fun. You can add them to white ones, it's completely up to you, or even the ones, even coloured card that you've used for the same colours for the backgrounds would be a cool one as well. So I'm just going to add these on. I'm using my favourite adhesive, which is the Altenew tape glue. It works really, really well and it's really strong as well. So once I have done that, I'm then just going to play around with the pieces that I have. So I have my die cut sentiments as well as my die cut flowers. Once I'm happy with the look of them, I'm then going to add my flowers to the back of my little sentiments. Reason being is because we have used vellum, it's semi-translucent, so you will be able to see adhesive behind it. So I didn't want to pop it onto the flowers rather than stick my flowers onto my sentiment, so the adhesive cannot be seen. I'm then just going to add some foam tape behind the sentiment, so I'm adding it on the thicker parts of the word, which is really quite easy to do. You are going to need some thin foam tape, but you can actually just trim your foam tape down if you wanted to, just to make sure that it does fit. And once I have done one, I will do exactly the same for the other. So adding a little bit of that tape pen behind the sentiment, adding my little flowers on into place, and then adding some foam behind the words. So the ones that are the thickest, I do find is the easiest to add the little pieces of foam tape behind. So once I have done that, I'm then just going to remove the backing off the foam tape, and then I'm going to add it back into place onto my card. And again, once I have done one of them, I'm then going to move on to the other one and just pop it into the center. And I do think that it looks very, very pretty. It was quite easy to do. It's very simple card, but I do like to add the technique at the back, and I didn't really want to take too much away from that technique of the watercolor and the salt. So here are the cards completed. As you can see, this is the one that we did with the grinded salt, so it's very, very subtle effect that we do have there, and you could probably get that with just some watercolor. But the one that we did with the huge chunks of the salt has given me that really great tie-dye effect in the back, which is very cool, and I am really, really liking it. I think I'm going to do it some more. So here are the cards. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really do hope that you like the technique and that you do give it a go. And if you do, could you please share with us? And we would love to see what you have created. Again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. There are a couple more videos here for you to watch at your own leisure if you would like to. Also, if you don't want to miss out on any videos that we do upload to the channel, it would be great if you do subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye.